Right, so
just do a walkthrough, say something, you can watch, you can follow along, you can do whatever, and then we'll just go back through one section at a time. So hopefully you can see me all right.
Yep.
So it starts with some movable hands. So we've got this movement of 3.
Then it's that, isn't it then?
One of the better two. Across the UK. Coming down. Can't set spaghetti. And heading backwards.
Let's see if I can.
We're fine with these movements. Then an underhook. Mako rich hand. Couple of punches. A lock. Another kansetsu. 3 punches. Orozuki, which is like an uppercut. Back fist. Front fist. Kagezuki. Another kansetsu. Back into Kosuke. Kick. Block punch simultaneously. Then a half more shin movement. Sitting down. So there's lots of kansetsu gigs. So they're called kansetsu. Essentially, it's a yoga gear of side kick, which coincidentally sets up really, really beautifully for a judo escapes me. Uchimata. So if you know your Uchimata throw from judo, whenever you're doing this movement in a kata where the leg comes up and the leg goes down, for me it's inserting the leg between your opponents or in front of your opponent's leg so that you can destabilize them and throw them over.
So your legs there, their legs there, and almost over that way, yeah?
Mate, it's not so much a pull, but essentially you're locked in position. They are stationary, and when I kick, let me try and bring this camera angle down a little bit for you. It's a bit different to judo. So when I kick, I don't just kick to the side. I'm not kicking over here. I'm literally kicking here.
Behind.
They're standing beside me here.
Yeah. So behind you.
Close. When I kick, my leg goes in front of them. Then it actually takes their legs out from underneath them.
Okay, so it's kicking through.
It's actually the kick that moves their legs, and their upper body goes forwards.
Okay. So you're kicking through the line of the legs.
Yeah, absolutely. And otherwise, because we're not expert throwers like judoka, where you've got to get that timing and that breaking of center of gravity and the good grip on the dogi, okay, we simply just grab hold of them and just kick straight through the legs.
So if you're holding and kicking, then
Yeah.
their weight goes back, and then you've got them, and you can help them to the ground by pulling.
You can follow them, you can let them go, and depending on the height of the kick, so you see this in, especially with what's happened with Shotokan. So with Shotokan, in their cover Kankudai, the one that goes like this, and then they separate up to the hand cover, there used to be a kick in the kata which was a front kick back in the day, was set up for Uchimata. Then Shotokan changed it to a Yokogiri side kick, and now you see the Shotokan guys kick up at head level with it.
Yeah.
Whereas when Funakoshi did it, it was quite a low kick, it wasn't very high.
Yeah, well, Funakoshi, for all his foibles, was still very much Okinawan in a lot of the stuff that came out of it. Maybe not the application so much, but his kata were a lot more, Shotokan now and what his kata were then are different things. You can still recognise the Shorin-ryu roots of, what he's doing, the more upright stances, the low kicks, the Okinawan roots. But sure.
What I'm getting at with it is, even though it's changed and it's morphed to make it look more spectacular, it has actually had an effect on the application. So if I literally kick low, okay, I'm just going to take legs out from an opponent. I've got to do a fair bit of work upstairs to put them on.
Yeah.
If I kick mid-level, my opponent gets more air. If I really reef and kick up high, my opponent gets lifted, and the landing into the ground is much more dynamic. So there are some, even though they're deviated from the original teachings, the application's got more spectacular, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but as for practicality, for somebody like me, I'll stick with the low kicks.
It's like all of us, mate. We're not going to be kicking.
Yeah, I mean.
Nice and hot. So for me, I like to train just a little bit below Chidam, because at least that way that I know that under duress my kick's not going to be tiny. It's still going to have a decent.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be. I've got to be able to kick at a certain height, but
Nice.
but you know, practically speaking, I want to be kicking down.
Absolutely.
Which means first knee through to probably the ankle. You know, that kind of line.
Yeah, and the beauty of this kansatsu getting, so kansatsu obviously means joint,
Yeah.
is that it's giving away the fact that you're aiming for either the front or the rear knee.
Yeah.
Okay, so if someone's shaped up and they've got a... I'll try to change my camera angle again for you. Okay, so I've got one leg in front of the other. You could be going for this one, or you could be going for the back one. So I could be going for, if someone's standing in front of me, I could be going for the front one, or I can be shooting right through to the back one.
Mm.
And there's angles on it. You could be pushing your knee out this way, pushing your knee across this way.
Yeah, I mean.
The back leg can be going back this way. And both kicks in this cover and seesaw, this pretty sure off the top of my head, there's three of them.
Yeah.
They also lend themselves to setting up the throw. So if you kick the front leg, okay, and the front leg buckles and comes back, you're making someone sit heavy on their feet.
Yeah.
If you kick the back leg, it makes the back leg shoot back even further, and it lengthens their stance, which enables a different sort of a throw. So let me just show you. You should be able to see this quite easily. So if I kick the front leg, and which puts all the weight on my opponent's legs and just makes them stop, then I can slip in underneath and use like an ogoshi movement, because I'm planting their feet and they're bending in the middle. It enables me to slip underneath and just lift them up and throw them.
Like a hip throw.
If you kick the back leg, if you miss the front leg, you can right through, you kick the back leg, and you force that stance into a long position, then you simply come through and sweep the front leg because you've lengthened their stance out.
Yeah.
So the kick itself, although unlike the jury kata where it's a definitive 100% throw on its lonesome, the naha kick can be a strike, but it can also be the setup to the throw.
Yeah, I mean, one of the kicks we were doing yesterday in the Nahanchi drills was literally it's the knee strike. If you've got control, the knee strike followed by the leg strike, and then followed by a twist, crank, you know, to bring them down. Once you've got the head down, you've used the knee to hit them with, the kick to destabilise one of the legs. You've already got control of their upper half. So the next bit is down and twist. So it's a similar concept in the kick, you know, destabilising the leg and controlling the upper body, but done differently.
The thing is there that your theme, your oyo, is 100% correct, and it transcends style or system.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if we're doing shurite, nahate, it doesn't matter what. But the basics are you're just trying to soften them with a strike.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're extending a leg to help destabilize them, and then you've got hands on them. So it really doesn't matter which colour you're doing.
Yeah.
The principle holds true.
The principle's the controlling bit, you know, the tactile side of it. Because traditional, I mean, like boxing, the idea is to strike. There isn't the only grappling you do in boxing is basically to smother. Yeah.
Yes.
There's no other element of grappling in boxing. Yeah. But it's a control form. It's most rudimentary. Karate, from what I can see, and you know what I keep hearing from my sensei and from yourself, is that, you know, it's the strike and the stick that makes a difference. You know, the control element, knowing where they are, and then being able to hit with any part of the body to control their body to do what you need to do to take them to ground or to put them out.
Yeah, I don't know whether you saw recently, Samir Sensei from Brazil showed a crossover. He showed an MMA fighter, Jorge Masvidal, using Wing Chun sticky hands in a fight. Then he went across to show his spin on Okinawan karate, how you maintain contact with your partner, and then he went straight across to an Okinawan sensei who's doing exactly the same thing. So it's more about, you're right, it's more about tactile. Once you've got hands on someone, you can feel what's going on.
You don't need to be able to see.
How effective a judo randori would be if you weren't actually holding on to your opponent's gi. If you just went, no, you had to enter and throw. You know, the second you grab hold of them, you had to throw. You can read what your opponent's doing by having that contact.
Yeah, as my sensei say again, I think it's the same as you and most of the senseis that do the modern stuff. Once you've got the grip, you don't even need to see them. You can put your head down to, you know, to cover your chin, and you can strike because you know where they are. You can protect your head and strike at the same time. You know, you don't need to you can make yourself as small a target as possible, but still know where they are as a target.
Yeah.
Part of the defense.
Just going off tangent a little bit. So what I'm getting from this current particular session is you get this sort of alignment when I don't know, I'm trying to get where you can see it. So you get this sort of alignment when you're doing it. Chin is back, spine is in alignment, head is up. This is not for when you're in the actual fight.
No.
This is about situational awareness. When you're actually in the fight, you'll find that your head will come down, your head will come forward, your arms will come back, your shoulders will come up.
Yeah.
It's no good trying to be situationally aware when I'm like this. So my situational awareness comes from this.
Yeah.
Head on a swivel, trying to take everything in. So remember, it's about self-protection, not just about the fight. So I make sure that everyone in the class is 100% aware of that. It's about, trying to see the fight coming, try to do what you can to avoid it.
Yeah.
When the fight's on, you need to change that tactic. So we changed to a certain tactic to where we do cover up. Just on the back of grabbing hands too, mate, is we were running an exercise where we had to, you do a lot of clearing limbs.
Yeah.
So we actually do it with a bogu. So let me show you a bogu.
Helmet.
So we put the bogu on, and then the idea is that the person with the bogu on has to have hands on the other person and has to stop that person from disengaging and trying to hit them in the head. Okay, so that's their sole responsibility, is holding and controlling the hands to stop them being hit in the head. Now, one thing that they find almost impossible to do is when you've got a hand on, it's not just about grabbing this one and striking with this one. So what happens is if someone grabs my hand and they pull it this way, as soon as they let it go, I'm going to bring it back. So what we do is we run with that. So when I grab my opponent's hand and I bring it towards me, I'm not necessarily hitting with this one. I'm waiting for them to bring it back towards themselves. I let it go. As it comes back, that's when I hit. And what you end up doing is you end up following their arm back to the straight back to the face, and they're not in a position to stop you. So with that grabbing, really important to grab and throw in at the opposite hand, but you can also grab and then follow back. So you follow that back in, because you think someone pulls your arm, instinctively when they let go, you're going to pull it back to a defensive posture. You're going to pull it back towards protecting this. And you actually find that that's a super easy way. You don't even have to look at your opponent. You grab that arm, you have a little bit of a contact as that arm goes back. You literally piggyback off the back of their arm, and you put a punch on the end.
So
and bang,
that also disguises a punch, because by that motion, they're not even citing the fact that you're doing a punch.
Exactly, but it's in too close. It's happening too quick. It's too natural for them to really respond to.
So basically they're in fact fueling the punch, because they're pulling your arm forward, and you're using their momentum and your momentum to then follow through.
Exactly, and that's what I like to get out of this CSUN kata, is that I've got this frame, I've got this contact here, and I might have tried to clear an arm, I'm clearing it out the road, and then what they're doing here, so I'm just holding their body at the body. As I clear that arm, their hand comes back towards their body, and that's where I come in with this. Straight away I make that contact with the body yet again. So this is like, you see a lot of the guys that you follow in the UK with the practical law enforcement background, they call that fence. Putting up your fence to try and keep someone at bay. So there's just that nice angle there. It's slightly underneath your shoulder. The fist is not turned in. The fist is turned out.
Yeah.
So you've got that slight V.
So
V shape in the posture.
So there's that. I mean, the other familiar one is sort of like Matobu's one, which you also see a lot of boxers use. That one is quite a common one.
And where have we seen that before?
Yeah, in the Nahanchi kata. But well, Matobu, what else would you expect? That's straight out. That's straight out of. And it's one of the favourite poses you see on Andre Esquast's books, Matobu, like that. But then somebody went and showed the classic boxers, the number of boxers that use a similar style of guard, as a, it's a pugilist's, it's a fighter's stance, and it's a fighter's stance for a reason in different styles. Yeah.
Talking with my hand, but I'm essentially in that same.
Yeah. See, that's the one. Our fence tends to be anything. We're taught it's anything, but that's a common one. That's the one I tend to use.
Yeah. It's the thing I like about that is body language-wise, it's not overly aggressive. It looks like you're comfortable, but you've trained often enough to be able to move quickly from that position.
Well, that funnily enough, that movement straight out of Nahanchi Sandan, that's yeah. But yeah, it's the. I think it helps when you've got a beard as well, because you just itching your beard or whatever. It's just.
Yeah, you need a long beard, mate, so you can hide the actual location of your chin.
Yeah, well, I used to have a longish beard,
right,
but.
So I'll just take you through this say something here. For me, it comes back to Sun Tzu. So Sun Tzu wrote a lot about how to win battles and things like that. He speaks about the need to establish momentum and maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
So when an altercation kicks off, we're always on the back foot. As much as we try to be situationally aware of that, but when someone actually goes hands-on, we're on the back foot. So Sun Tzu says you've got to switch on, or you've got to establish that momentum. That's first things first. So for me, but this kata is, I'm here, I'm in a defensive posture, my hands are coming up, I'm literally seizing the back of my opponent's head and then driving bone or the palm heel directly into the face or any soft area I can find. So here, that's my establishing my momentum. I've gone defensive, I'm getting belted, and then I'm just going, you know what, I need to change this around the back of the head, and I'm striking. Now, Sun Tzu says we've got to maintain that momentum, so it's no good just hitting once and stopping. You've really got to flood that person's, their sight, their touch, their emotions. You've got to really flood them. So from here, this hand comes round, we strike, and then we're straight in, and we're really motoring forward. Now this can be striking this part here just constantly, a la Wing Chun. Same family, but essentially just striking center line repeatedly and quickly. Can be striking the face, under the chin, under the nose, hence the reason why the hands are pointed backwards, not forwards for this movement.
Okay.
Hands are backwards.
That's a small thing I didn't know when we...
Yeah, that's okay, that's why we're doing it. Yeah, so it's bringing this part of the hand towards the front. The other thing too is if they start putting limbs in the road, so you've struck, you've established that momentum, and their limbs come up to defend themselves, then this suddenly becomes your underhooks as you're motoring forward. That maintain that momentum. You're scooting up under their arms and coming straight up their back.
So you basically almost like a clearing motion, yeah?
Not so much clearing, mate, but you're going, this is all center line. So once I go under someone's armpit, what I want to do is I want this hand to go in line with their spine at their back.
Okay.
So I'm not pushing the arm out the road, I'm going under the armpit and I'm trying to get this hand to the spine.
Okay.
But once it's there, once I've established one underhook, okay, we've got underhook and pike, we've got throws, okay, we can reach around, grab the back of the head, start driving.
So if you've got that, you can... Yeah.
Once you've got two underhooks, cable grip, okay, but you can throw the person so easily. And to throw them, you only need probably about 1 or 2 millimeters off the ground. You don't need them to get air.
Okay, so underhook, cable grip.
Yep. And tuck in nice and tight. And what I do from here is I tend to just lean back a bit and load them up on my hips, just so they come up off the ground.
Yeah.
And just turn left or right.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a big movement. If you know wrestling, you could even do a suplex throw, which is essentially once we're here, we've got them up, we're leaning backwards, we simply just go straight backwards. They come up over.
Yeah, I know the suplex throw.
Yeah.
It's my son's favourite.
Hopefully they smash their face into the ground and we don't get the back of our head into the ground. We take it nice and tight.
One of the family favourite wrestlers is a guy called Kurt Angle, the former Olympic champion, yeah? And his speciality is a German suplex. So literally, that movement, absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful.
So
can you see how like this whole kata sesan means 13 hands, but the latest research is that it's not about 13, it's about 10 sets of 3 ways to establish and maintain momentum to put your opponent on the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, so 10 and 3 is 13, but the thought process is, hang on a tick, there are 10 sets of 3 movements, and some katas are different. Obviously, in our version, we've got 1 set of 5, so just ignore that for now.
Yeah, the 1 set of 5,
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And some versions, they do 3 of that. So if you think of what's happening there is essentially someone's got hands on me, okay? My first motion is to clear that hand, so that one just comes straight down.
Yeah.
I'll just move this, mate, so we can see a little bit better.
Yeah.
So we'll get the hands are on, we clear, okay? If they throw a punch, we're dealing with that. If we don't, we were working with this in class the other night, but this one here becomes hike up a ridge hand to the side of the neck, before it turns over to grab.
Okay.
So when we're doing the kata, this hand comes back and we grab. And so you've got the shote there, but can so easily turn into a grab.
Yeah.
Strike with the rich hand, and then the shote.
Yeah,
Strike with the rich hand. And once again, once you've done that, if there are any grabs and they re-establish a grip, we clear it. Clear it straight into the next one. Clear it straight into the next one.
So yeah, I mean it's easy to see that, but that's from like 10 shows very much. Let's see.
Yeah, very similar sort of
down, out. Yeah. And
the funny thing is, mate, the most common explanation of this movement here, so where I work from here, the most common explanation for this movement here is you're blocking a kick from the front.
No.
So they're saying the hand's coming down here, it's pushing the kick to the side, and then the hand sitting up like that catches the foot on top of the back of the hand. For me, that's a bridge too far. That's nonsense.
No. Pulling down, a bit like hikate, you know, the pull down,
Yeah.
the drag through.
Well, even you think about if we've hit someone on one side of the head, turned over, struck them, we then grab, collar, hair, nose, ear, doesn't matter. The next movement, once I've grabbed them,
you're pulling down and then hitting with the other.
down.
You're pulling down and hitting same time.
Yep.
So counter movement, bang. Whether it's a straight arm, whether it's a punch, whether it's a whatever, it's that duality of control and strike at the same time.
Yokonan, husband-wife hands, brother-sister hands.
Yeah.
One hand's going down, one hand's going up. One hand's going backwards, one hand's going forwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's, to me, that's just common sense.
Yeah.
So what? But if you tie it back into Sun Tzu, what are we doing? We're establishing and maintaining momentum.
Yeah.
Someone grabs, they've started the altercation, we establish by clearing, okay, we maintain.
Yeah, so basically it's literally that. Yeah?
Yeah. It's, whenever you see, so we did you might have seen, it was bad timing for your part of the world, but we did the Bunkai Jam recently with Tawari from New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the kata parts that Sensei Laura from America got Tawari to do was, you know, in that Shotokan kata they have a lot of triple movements, so there might be 3 UKs or something like that.
Mm.
So what Tawari said is the lesson there is you're trying to establish and maintain momentum with that. So it's literally you're blitzing someone and going, just keep going. You're not giving them a chance to think or counterattack. So that's what I get out of this C-star movement is we're really coming in on someone, we're clearing aggressively, and we're attacking the head. If we get hold of the head, we're putting the head to the ground.
I mean, a lot of the fast movements in kata in a line. Not so much things like Nahanchi, because that doesn't do that kind of movement in the strikes.
Yeah.
But even the ones you do, the basic one, the one that I've been practicing, you know, you've got bang, bang, but when you go into the forward line, it's like bang, 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 bang. Yeah. Again, forward momentum and strikes, although very simplified. You know, so the forward momentum part of it, I think, is something that, again, comes across in most kata, you know, the pressing. I think most katas have a pressing element in it.
Yeah, and mate, once you look for the practical application, once again, you get that practical thing, you can see it in all kata, you know, it becomes blatantly obvious, and you go, why did I think it was anything but? You know, initially when I was first taught the 3-punch movement, I was told that someone's blocked each and every
Yeah, I mean,
That's never going to happen.
I mean, the version that we're taught as our basic now, based on the handshi, is literally hand out, control, bang, bang, bang.
Yep.
So palm, heel, strike, hammer, fist, elbow, or forearm strike, whichever. But whether it's 3 of one, 3 of the other, 3 of, that 3 combination seems to be a feature in most forms of teaching, you know, the blitz, the pressure,
Yeah.
the forward momentum.
I used to try and teach police, but if they were giving words of command, if they needed someone to know what was going on, I used to get them to say things 3 times and make sure they say it very clearly, concisely, with a small gap in between each time they say it. Because it takes people time to actually register what's going on. So if I hit someone once, yeah, that's fine. But if I really want this to stop, I want them to get the message loud and clear. So I should repeat it. And 3 seems to be a really nice number. I don't know. I can't say that Sanction's wrong. 3 battles, mate. Coincidence? I think not.
That could be the case. I mean, the triptych thing doesn't really appear in the handshi. But what comes out of the handshi, the techniques and the pressing, then they tend to pick up the 3 anyway. Because I know they've done some work on Russ Smith's, you know, the practical application of techniques, and that's very much a seminal work. You know, despite I've read it, you know. It doesn't matter on the style. There are only so many ways a human body can work. There are only so many ways you can strike. It varies depending on your height, the height of your opponent, your skill level. But there are just certain things that are practical and certain things that aren't, you know. And how you can...
I just want to give something a go. You've got me thinking now, so I just want to give something a go. This is how the bosses work stuff out with karate. They just mucked around with it and they went, oh, look at this. So bear with me. Okay, I'm just going to flip this way. You're going to stay there. Okay, so from here, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
1.
Then that's one, well, for us.
1, 2, 3. You can break it down.
Yeah, because for us it's that, then that, then that, then that.
Just put the extra count in, mate. If you break it up into groups of 3, so you think of it, you're now applying basically with attacking. So we're going here, we've got like a shovel kick happening. Fumi Komigiri.
Yeah.
Fumi Komigiri. Smack. You know, it's...
Yeah, and this is a shovel kick, it's a side kick, it's a back kick, it's a, you know, it's whatever kick from that position you can do.
Yeah.
It can
and
differ.
you see, Hakama Sensei showed his interpretation of this movement. So Hakama started his Shorin-ryu before he went to Goju-ryu. And I think he was 8 the last time he did Nahanchi. But they got him to do it again in a Zoom lesson we had with him. And he went, oh, I reckon what this is for. So he had someone standing like this. You can imagine this leg here. So what he did was he pushed with this foot, pushed the front leg back off him like that, and then he stood on the knee. So he pushed the leg back, and then the next leg come up, stood right on the knee, pressed the person to the ground. Pushed the leg back, stood on the knee.
Yeah, you see that one though, that's more a Shotokan, the big step.
Yeah, well he
Yeah, but the exaggeration turns it almost Shotokan with the.
Yeah.
But again, our interpretation of it, as you know, the opening is that in virtually in a hanchi that, yeah, and then it's that.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
Bit more brutal, but.
Yeah. Even that little foot movement you did there, mate. For me, just a quick shoulder kick and then stand on the foot.
Yeah.
We do a lot of, when we advance forward, we really deliberately stand at our opponent's feet when we're doing whatever technique.
Yeah.
And you see that adds so much to what's going on.
With Seizen, that's probably more, and Sanchin, I suppose. This movement, stepping forward with the front foot canted, yeah, that is a classic step on somebody's foot.
Yeah.
And then that, you stepped on their foot, then you're doing a strike out. Step, bang.
Nice.
You know, that's my interpretation when you said that. The Sanchin one more, because of that forward step. But strangely enough, of course, the stance, different angle, is the same as the Nahanchi stance. With, well, our version, which is with the feet angled in.
So here's the rationale behind that turned in pigeon toe Nahanchi dachi and also Sanchin dachi. So it's a real practical thing, mate. So obviously back in the day, I'm just trying to pick a good spot so you can see.
Yeah, this is why I think you can tell the different versions of a kata. If they've got that inward stance in the Sanchin versions, or the Sanchin-based kata or the Nahanchi-based kata, yeah, they're more of the original style.
So if you think of this sai as an edged weapon, a lot of the Okinawans didn't necessarily have access to edged weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And those people who were given a job of looking after royalty, Shuri Castle and all that sort of stuff, they did have access to them, but they're also concerned about someone with them who are trying to give their bosses grief by using edged weapons. So if I'm standing with an open posture, and that was to run on the inside of my leg, it's got access to arteries now.
Yeah.
Okay? On the inside arteries, but if I turn my feet in, my shins in, what I'm actually exposing outwardly is bone. So you can actually get cut there, and you're not necessarily cutting tendons or arteries. So a lot of these postures of turning in is to take vulnerable areas to edge weapons and tuck them away.
Yep. Oh, why's that gone? Hold on, PJ. Oh, what happened with that? Sorry, I lost that for a sec because there was something came in on the top. I was just trying to clear it.
No dramas.
But yeah, I mean, when you say that, I mean, it's like the blocks. Yeah, one of the blocks we're taught to kicks, that one. That's outward leaning, for the kick, because the bone, that is a bony part, which is if you're going to receive a kick, like a washigeri, it's one of the best defences.
This is one of my biggest fun questions about people who do karate. How many kata do you know?
One.
No, this is not a trick question. So I personally know about, we have 13 in our curriculum, and that's what I stick to. So I know 13 kata. I practice 13 kata. But Shito-ryu do about 76. At your development, how many variations, tiger, if you're doing Nahanchi Shodan, Nahanchi Nidan, Nahanchi Sandan, how many kata in total have you learned?
2, technically speaking.
Yeah, okay.
Never.
Okay, I'm a 13 kata, never. In my friend's 76 Storu kata, not one more shigeri.
It's not an Okinawan kick.
Well, it's funny, there's two schools of thought. I'm not making a statement either way because I still use the kick. But there is a school of thought that says whenever you see returning wave kick, which is namagi ashigeri, or you do that step across like that shovel kick, people extrapolate that, believe it or not, into a movement for moshigeri.
What?
Yeah, I've seen it. Like people like Paul Enfield over in California does a really good explanation on it. I would never have believed it until I saw what he did with it. And I went, yep, that could be possible. It's just that the higher level moshigeris coming up to Chudan and Judan, they didn't exist. But the low level moshigeris did.
But again, low level kick, it's actually if you think about it in the sense of you turned on and then kicking through, it's just another variation of there. It's just another variation. Instead of going out, you're going back and through, but there again you go back. So I suppose that kick...
That's exactly what we were talking about the other night in class, mate. So essentially, we've had the idea too, that if we're in kata, we're here, and I'm changing direction, you can see, if you slow it down, there is your moshigeri.
Even in Cezanne, when you're doing that, to do the back kick, you're in that position. Because you're turning. That's it. Yeah. You'll use it. So, but you're doing that as a turning kick. So the turning is just that, as opposed to...
We know it's there, but isn't it funny how that it doesn't appear 100% obvious, and it doesn't occur with any massive regularity, but when we train our karate, we do moshigeri more than pretty much any other kick. I just think that's interesting, that's all.
If you think about it, the reason for it, again, is probably after the stamping kick, it's another destabilising kick. The front kicks have their place. But even a side kick isn't more than just another variation on... The only kick you don't really find, and it's in kata, and I hate this kick so I can't do it. See? Spinning back kick. Why would you do that in combat?
Yeah. There's a whole heap of kicks that you don't see in combat.
That's the one kick. I can understand it done as a back kick, like as a side, a variation on a side kick because somebody's behind you, yeah? If you hear somebody coming behind you, you're lucky enough to hear, you can do that. Fair enough, yeah? But to spin it, why? It seems one of the most pointless kicks,
Well, it looks good. It generates heaps of power. It's a low percentage technique. When it does go wrong, it goes really badly wrong. There are so many other techniques that you can class in the same boat. Obviously, the wiser I get by the day, the lower my kicking is getting.
Yeah.
The original kata kicks suit me better than anything like that.
Well, it's like, again, the version, what's the one? Quadrant drill. That does feature the moshigeri, that's the Patrick McCarthy drill, yeah? But the other kick it features is the sort of stomach level kick, and then the straight groin kick, And there again, practical kicks, the stomach, the groin. I prefer to use the knee, but it depends on the range.
I'll just show you what we do with our front kick to make it more practical. You still train it as if you're kicking towards the stomach, but an application is different. I don't know if you can see, but I've got a Makawara over here. So essentially, if I stand in my hand,
Yeah.
Go through the whole kick, but then we have to shrink the distance more realistic.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm thinking about this range, yeah, I'm not thinking kick. I never think kick at that range.
Nice.
Because of my height, yeah, trying to, by the time I've done that, and then that can have done the job. So for me, unless it's a range kick, the knee's always going to be the preference. That's just my build.
Hard knee to soft area.
Yeah. But to me, that's the natural go-to. Just like that. That. They're the ones that I would employ. And a straightforward push.
Yeah.
They're probably the three things I would use most.
They're simple and they're gross motor skills, so if you're a little bit stressed, you've got to be stronger than you are stressed.
Yeah, because when I start practicing, the first thing I do, I noticed it the other day because I videoed yesterday's lesson, and when he was talking about strikes, the first thing I was doing was that.
Just to let you know, just be careful where your hand is positioned.
Yeah.
If your hand comes down lower than your shoulder or lower than your elbow, this energy will transfer back into your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So what you try and do is you try and have it level at the same height. So you don't want that hand to come down. So if I'm striking here, see how my hand is lower than my shoulder and lower than my elbow? I actually want it at the same height.
Yeah, and that's where I've got a problem.
It's just at the point of impact, so you can have it down here, but at the point of impact it should be up, everything level. The reason being is I've actually taken a police officer in a hospital who struck something very, very hard with their elbow and removed the shoulder from the socket. And yeah, it wasn't very pleasant.
To be fair, I'm looking more to hit with that.
Yeah, when you are hitting with that, it's just if that arm's a bit low.
Yeah, not the elbow.
It goes back to here.
Probably the forearm would be more likely. Yeah. The forearm probably for me, 'cause it's a bigger thing.
So this here is empty,
Yeah.
which we use sometimes, but we use hiji. Hiji a lot more. Hiji is this part of the elbow, which is more of the muscle here, and it's a larger surface area rather than just the tip.
Yeah, it's like it's the end of the forearm.
Yes. Yeah.
So basically, that's a better thing than to try and hit with that. Bigger surface area and stronger.
I absolutely love that tool, mate. So when I'm here, that's what I'm driving in with. So that's fantastic.
Well, again, with the the Nahanchi crash or any crash, whichever version you use, one-handed or two-handed, that doesn't matter what bit you hit with.
Nice. All right, I might go back through to see some. I'll just go to the next part. I'll just try and tie that in with that sunset premise of establishing and maintaining momentum. So where we've gone to is we've come through, we've done the three underhooks or strikes. The next thing we're doing is this movement here with the arms. Okay, so once again, you can look at someone's grabbing, okay, and we're trying to clear that, going overhook, and then back under their elbows. So back under their elbows, here, and what's happening is when that heel comes up, so what we're actually doing is aggressively, we're coming forward, we're putting foot where their foot is, just trying to rake that foot back as we push forward.
So that is actually this movement, is it? So it goes out and up. So what I was doing was a bit simplified. So it's just the hand movements, it's just this, yeah? Out, circle up.
Coming underneath, very, very much like tencho cut. Underneath and then forward. And you see this hand position here a lot in the end of sun shift. So what's happening is your fingers are pointing in slightly. There's about 1 fist distance between your elbow and your body. Your elbows aren't locked into your body, they're out slightly, and it's just coming in. And it's coming forward with it, like you're not doing a finger strike, but they are still coming forward into that position. And what that does is we're not pushing down, we're coming forward. And what that does with your opponent is it takes their limbs, pushes them down, and then pushes them back.
Get this
and it's
right.
like that whipping motion to generate power. So pushing forward and then whipping into it. It's the same thing with the hand.
So, do I have this right?
Yeah, make sure those hands go forward rather than down. Yeah. So we'll move back a bit without some of these.
Yeah?
So even when you just start from this position, so someone shaped up, we play this in class, someone shapes up to us, we just put our hands on top of their hands and we just let them rest. And we make sure that they stick. So when our partner tries to punch, we just make sure that we stick and move. And then whenever we want to, we can flick up and enter.
So that becomes almost more like that though.
Yeah, from this position as it's here, it's below armpit level. The hands are pointing in towards one another slightly. So for me, I've cleared limbs, and if I step forward, I'm actually starting to establish that double upper lock again. Yep.
That itself there, again,
Yeah.
although it's, when I saw Abernethy do that explanation of this, he was using that as a back hook, yeah?
Correct.
But, equally, knee. If you're trying to control them,
Yeah, you can. In the cutter though, that leg does not end up coming forward. That leg stays back. So my right leg's back, I come up, my heel comes up, and my left leg's still in front. My left leg's still in front. My left leg's still in front.
so when you do that, you come down at best in line. Yeah?
Yeah, it's a bit of a step. Yeah.
So it's like up, down, and a shuffle step.
So if you think that I've got someone here in front of me, and I'm hooking that leg behind them, and I'm trying to throw them that way, if I don't move that way, I'm going to end up falling with them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just landing it, once it goes up, the best I can do is land it in line.
Yeah.
And
That's
then,
fine. That cutter is yours, mate. You do it how it works for you. There's nothing in writing to say that it has to be done exactly the same as anyone else.
as I say, once you're in that position, it doesn't matter. It's
That works great.
that position, a back hook or a knee. Just as a personal interpretation, because you know I like my knees.
Yeah. So, look back to, okay, Sun Tzu, establish, maintain momentum. Someone's throwing punches at you, you're covering up, okay? So we go here, we're establishing that momentum. Our hands go on, flick up, get rid of it. Flick up, and then we just keep going with that.
So it's up, so it's crash, up, down.
Yeah, so from the crash, what I will be doing is I'll be dropping my So
crash,
there's
bang.
that position there. So that way I know when the hands are, wherever they are, they're actually touching. So I might start that grappling motion.
Yeah.
And then from me too, I come outside, flip them up, and then establish again. Establish again. Yeah.
So it's crash, down, crash, down.
Yep, spot on. So we've just gone through the first couple of segments of that kata. We're seeing how you can just take it, rip that part of the kata out, and apply some basic application to just at my real combat. So essentially, we're establishing and maintaining momentum, either to gain the upper hand to finish that person or to facilitate an escape.
Yeah.
So with Naha take for me, it's all about the survival of the individual.
Yeah.
So any Naha kata, it's like, I really don't care about too much else in me right now. So it's all about me getting the position so I can run. When I'm running the shuri kata, I'm always worried about the safety of someone else. So that makes me think differently about the kata. So why am I doing this? I'm actually doing this for someone else who's nearby. So I can't just belt them and run. I've got to belt them, label them, and actually get someone else away.
Interesting. That's an interesting interpretation. Because the way we're taught shuri kata, yeah, is self-protection. Not protecting somebody else.
Yeah, well, where I get this from is that there's been a bit of research done about it. Is that the difference in the two schools is that Naha was in the capital city.
Yeah.
Naha Te, and to a lesser extent Tamari Te, were practiced by people who weren't given the job of bodyguards or looking after anyone else. A lot of them were fishermen. They would get up to no good. They would muck around, all that sort of stuff. They'd go and have fights. Whereas the shuri side of things, a lot of the shuri people were nobility to start off with, and some of them were actually charged with looking after the head honchos in society.
Yep.
The royal family, all that sort of stuff. That's why Matobu was so frowned upon, because essentially, he used to go and get drunk and frequent houses of ill repute.
Yep.
And then go and fights. So he was seen as using the shuri method for his own self-gain.
So did Choktu Kyan. He was another one that was... I think he was the one that said, kata without women and alcohol is without flavour. Karate without flavour.
I think what he's saying is you've got to have balance in life. You've got hard training.
Yeah. I think he's saying, that it's not all about just about, it's about a balance.
Yeah.
And I think that more than a lot of the other ones sticks. I mean, yeah, all the ones about sticking at your training, fine, yeah. But that one, the balance idea, actually strikes as a pretty good sort of philosophy for life in general. It's a balance thing. It's not just karate. Karate's not just all training, all, moral philosophy. It doesn't have to be bland. You don't have to be, dedicated to your art you've got to be dedicated to train anyway. Without some dedication, it's easy to give up. I know I've felt it quite a lot recently with circumstances being what they are, struggling to actually...
That goes off to you. You're still there, you're still training. Whenever I have anyone from our area of the world who wants to pull a pin, I remind them of what you're going through, the fact that you're still there training.
Yeah.
You actually want classes with them, and that they can actually do it face to face, and they want to quit.
Yeah, I mean, my view is, right, and I've said this to Ben, is I can't train as hard as I used to. Certainly, I had a chest infection last summer and it knocked me sideways. And certain mental health issues have sort of pushed me to not train as much recently, feeling down about things. But I've always tried to do something. And the evening classes just aren't viable because of work nowadays. So I said to Ben, well, I'll do 4 with you, and if I can do a couple more with PJ just to flesh it out, you know, to do something else, to take it a different direction. It just keeps me interested in a different way. You know, because part of me needs the exercise, part of me needs to think about karate. And
yeah, mate, it's just a human connection as well, so you can have a conversation with your mates about something you're passionate about, and
yeah,
you come away with endorphins.
Yeah, there is that. I mean, but it's like wanting to learn different kata. It's because I know in my own style I'll probably never get past the Nahanshis. Simply because I'm not that dedicated. And I'm no great lover of the Pinans anyway, to be honest. You know, I'll learn the Hainan one, but the Hainan one is actually easier by far than the Shorin-ryu one. Because the Shorin-ryu one...
Like frown at me because we do at least one hand kata, and I think there's something wrong with me.
Yeah, I mean the Shorin-ryu version, you know, is like all cat stances, and like when you do the shooting hands, well, it's more, but it's all in Zenkutsu dash, yeah. Whereas in the Nahanshi style, it's all in cat stance, yeah. I hate cat stance. You know, put my weight on my back foot, yeah. But I don't need to have my foot off the ground in the way that so natural, you know? To step back is one thing and put your weight on your back leg. And to feel it there, that's your route. And then do that. Feels more natural to me than that. And to me a lot of it is about what feels natural to my body. You know?
Yeah, also you can change the way you look at it when someone actually goes hands-on and shows you what it's supposed to be. So whenever I've done Nekowashi and kata before, now that I look at it from a completely different point of view, my Nekowashi has changed completely in the past. 15 years ago, the two stances, same name, will look completely different. So I'm using it now as it's a wrestling move. It's a counter wrestling move. And whenever I apply that, it makes 100% sense to me. It now feels natural. And I have no dramas doing it. Prior to that, I used to hate Nekowashi. It didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, but I don't think actually learning the Hainan version of it, I mean, I've been concentrating more on the terms in the other one recently, which is like this, when you've got that leg there, how do you end up there? And it's, of course, you've done that punch. And it's that turn. But it took me ages to work out that I was going from there, like that. Because it's totally an alien turn.
It doesn't make much sense. You see, Ian Abernathy says that if you are going this way, why turn to your back to go this way? If you're just dealing with a strike, wouldn't you just go...
Yeah, I mean, what it is good though is for positional. You know, if you know how, you know, if you can't go that way for whatever reason, you know you can go that way. You know, it's just knowing. It has no practical application that I can see apart from knowing the dimensions of your body and the geometry. But learning it.
Really close when you actually start looking at the 5 wazas and then you start applying it, it makes perfect sense, and then you understand why you're going this most bizarre direction. And then when you put it into context with someone going hands-on, the movement is not nonsense.
For example, that turn, I'm guessing, could be used as a throw. You know, you've got them like that. If you've got them in that position, you've got one hand there, the other hand there, then it's a throw. Or it's a pull.
Think about the hand that's out, their head's here, and you're wrapping around their head. So just keep it really simple. You're literally wrapping it around their head.
crank.
turn.
It's a neck crank. It's a neck crank.
I know, but then it turns into a neck crank that's a throw as well.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just do the 90-degree turn, there's nothing in it.
Yeah, there's no leverage in it. There's no...
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is a reason to it, but it's not apparent in such a simple kata. Because that kata is all about just, you know, bang, 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 bang. That's it.
Yeah. Exactly the same thing. Whenever we throw a fist forward, I'm saying you're grabbing hold of someone, you're trying to get your hand behind them to grab them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's just really simple. You're just looking at the motion of the arm going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my sensei likes to go smash, grab, and then we hit again. To me, that is bang, then that's bang and grab. Hit them with the set, you know, that's a palm heel strike. Then you can go onto the shoulder or behind the neck, you know. You've hit them with 2 strikes before you grab them. Why hit them and grab when you can hit them twice? You know? It's because the more I understand or read about Okinawan karate, the more of it is economy of the actions that you use. You know, if it's a block and you've opened them up, you know, even that side of the neck. You know, if you've pulled them down, pulling with force destabilizes them. It's not just a pull and extend to take their arm away. It's a drag. And then, you know, then if you're turning, your job's done. It's all that.
Mate, I love the way you think. It's funny, that you've got the same template that we have in so far as the training and the kata and that, but you're thinking about it, you're bringing it to life, and you're not just resting on someone told you this, so it must be true.
No,
mate,
no.
You are light years ahead of so many karate on the planet. The people with 40 or 50 years training who are going, I cannot do anything else because my sensei told me that was it.
Well, this is where having good sensei who encourage you helps, you know. I mean, I don't know how many talks, I think I've been to 3 or 4 talks by Andreas Quast now. One by Patrick McCarthy. You know, I've attended sessions with Noah Legel, Christian Vedevart, and this is outside of what we've done with class, you know, like yourself and Chris Hansen and Les Bubka, you know. I've done some solo work with Les and with Noah. Because there's stuff in there that interests me, you know. Noah taught me Tensho. Les taught me the Teizo version of Tensho, you know, the really relaxed version of it. I do it my style of Tensho, not his. But the principle is that relaxation thing, you know. There's a guy called Robert Jenkins, who's a Shotokan guy in, I think he's in the West of England. I met him through a mentorship in Karate Nerds. He was the one that first showed me the use of kata as gentle cardio, you know, as in Tai Chi style, which again is an extension of Leisure's Teisho kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, I've tried to adapt my karate to suit my needs, and my needs are my health and my self-protection. You know. But the thing about the Okinawan thing is, if you look at it and listen to what people say, the commonality is that practice is important, which is where the solo work, although it's good, lacks something. You know, you do need to be in the dojo to make the physical feel of it come true. But things like this, you know, also help, just by being able to discuss and think, and, you know, how things can translate, you know. And like I say, I mean, as Russell Smith's book says, Russell Smith, you know, the basics, the body has only so many limbs, so many joints, and much as things might look different, the actual movement mechanics, the body mechanics are the same. What changes more is, what's more challenging is people's physicality, their dimensions, and things like that, because that changes it more than the actual mechanics. You know, the actual movement is the same, but what it achieves depends on the dynamics of the people involved in the combat. You know?
Yeah, and that comes back to not trying to make drones. So we're not trying to make everyone identical.
You can't. I mean,
that's what they're trying to do.
but this is what always turned me off about Shotokan when I was a. Somebody tried to encourage me to do Shotokan when I was at uni, and I sort of didn't like it because it was very regimented, very showy, and, you know, very brutal.
Very Japanese, mate. You had to be kamikaze-like when you're flying.
Yeah, and yeah, it didn't seem to bear any resemblance to the real world. You know, more Jackie Chan, and, you know, I mean that's one of the things that made me laugh, and I think it's made a few people laugh. Jesse Encamp's video on being something about being real karate in one of the Tekken, I think, games it was. I mean, it's real in the sense of it that it's a Japanese sensei, karate sensei, that's done the moves. But the moves are straight out of the Shotokan demonstration bunkai. You know, the four people waiting and taking them on one by one. What?
I know, points to the compass application.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to practice turning through the compass. But that's not because you're going to turn to one opponent, two opponents, three opponents, four.
Correct.
Because if you've done that to one, and that's open, the other three are on your back.
Yeah.
They're not stood waiting, or one of them, or on your sides and back. All your blind spots. Which is why one of the things, again, the flanking move. Down and look behind, you know. Or if somebody asks you the time, step to the side before you even tell them the time of day, in case it's a distraction. So you can see, and if there's a wall behind you, that's even better, because they can't come from behind you then. And the whole thing again, and I'm sure it's in Naha as well as showing room, stacking your opponents, you know, lining them up so that one has to go through the other.
Absolutely, mate. That's why we, you know, every shuttle running we have Pimento, we have 2 versus 1, and it's right at the end of the night.
Yeah.
So that's where they're absolutely gassed, and they've got to try and get their opponents in line.
Yeah.
You know, meanwhile the opponents are trying to circle them and get to the back, one get to the front.
I don't know whether you've seen a video. There's one I did, Predator Drill, videoed in class. It's Ben's video, but it's me that's doing this thing, and it's 2-on-1. 2 people in what you call the headgear. Bogu. Yeah, I mean, I've got a different understanding of Bogu, but the head protectors. So you've got 2 as head protectors, and these are the predators, and everybody's walking round. So normally it's 1 predator, but this particular version was a double predator. And the first thing they did when I grabbed them was shoulder control, knee, turn, thrust into the other person and away. And that's, you know, that kind of drill. It's a perfect kind of drill for the kind of, you know, you don't know who's going to get it next. The 2 people work together in the middle as the targeters, A and B, and try and get you to the ground, you know. Destabilize you, you know, so that they could do whatever they wanted, take your watch, you know, take your life. And that's a great drill, one of my favourites. I really enjoy that one.
Pull up stumps there because at any second my wife's going to put the garage door in and roll in and run me over.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to go this long, but thank you, PJ.
No worries, mate. Thank you. Is this time okay for you, mate?
It works for me, yeah, because I'm a bit of a night owl. I sort of nap during the night, but I'm usually awake 6 o'clock-ish, 5 o'clock-ish. So 7 o'clock, I actually get some sleep, then I come down. I was up at 6 because I've got some housework to do.
No, well, mate, if this is fine, we can do it again in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, no, this time suits me. I mean, because for me, it either has to be before the family are up or after the family go to bed, if I'm going to use this space. Yeah? Nice weather, I can go out in the garden, but today it's damp, it's awful.
Yeah.
And
I had a look, it's 9 degrees and raining.
And I haven't chopped anything down, you know, the patio needs flaming, you know, the weeds need getting rid of kind of thing. Because obviously with my health, we have neighbours who don't really care about social distancing and all the rest. So until I had my second jab, I didn't feel like even going out there very, very often. With the old neighbours, because they changed halfway through, the old neighbours were fine, but the new lot, they keep having barbecues out there, things, you know, and they don't bother. It just doesn't feel comfortable. Well, it doesn't feel so bad now because I've had my second jab. But you know,
what brand did you have?
Pfizer.
Okay.
My wife's had AstraZeneca.
Yeah.
And her side effects were a bit stronger than mine. They had headaches, but and a bit longer. But at the end of the day, you look at the figures here. I mean, even with that, they're still a bit worried about this Indian variant because it's like the numbers of it have tripled in the last 2 weeks in this country. They're still low, but it's very transmissible.
Yeah, I know, absolutely, mate. Well, stay safe, mate.
Yeah, and you. And
chat to you again. Do this again in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, love to, PJ. Okay.
Yeah. Is it okay if I just share the still photo I took at the front?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wish I'd actually been able to record the video of the pair of us as opposed to just my bit of it.
Yeah.
But no, it's good.
We'll work it out one day, mate.
Yeah, take care, PJ. Thank you.
All right. Take it out of the family for us.
Yeah, will do. I'll send my regards to Brendan for you. Cheers. And regards to your family too, yeah? Okay. Thank you. Cheers, PJ.